Sensation. I am your host, Dan, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at this DC Universe, the Bronze Age Omnibus. And it's all Jack Kirby. Now, this is a 1,500-page... Let me just... omnibus. Now, usually I don't collect omnibuses. I mean, they're cool, but they're expensive. I won't get into whether or not the coloring is, the reprint of the coloring and stuff. I can get a bit pedantic about that kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk about that. Just generally, there's not too many runs of comics where I want something this huge. Now, the thing about this is, this Bronze Age Jack Kirby book has the Losers issues he did. It has In the Days of the Mob. It has Spirit World, has Sandman, OMAC, Cobra, Demon, Atlas. This stuff isn't, Demon has been reprinted in its own book. Great. But a lot of this stuff, I don't think it's ever been reprinted anywhere. Not that I know of. And this book was originally $150. At one point, there was a place online, and I can't remember the name of it, but they were listing 7 copies, that they had 7 copies, and they were selling them for $50 a piece. And I snatched one of these bad boys up because I was like, $50? Come on. So I only have a handful of omnibuses, but I couldn't pass this one up because there's actually stuff in here, a lot of material in here that I had never seen, either because it just wasn't around in Pennsylvania where I was growing up. I didn't see it when it came out, or I didn't look for it that hard. Even when I did, once I moved to places where there were comic shops, I wasn't looking that hard because it was only, it wasn't what I knew was going to be the prime Kirby stuff that I wanted. So anyway, I thought I'd just go through here. Oh, here I'll point out, like I said, I do love the DC Kirby stuff, but this series here, I wish this was a hardback. I don't know if this originally came out. This is part of the same kind of, here's that Jack Kirby portrait. So they put out Commandy in 2 volumes. They've put out the Fourth World, his New God stuff in this. So the big series and the Demon, the Demon's in here, but the Demon also got his own book in this format, and I think these are just fine. I'm good with that. I don't need the other omnibuses. But that being said, I'm going to flip through this. I highlighted some things to talk about. I'm not going to go through all of it bit by bit like I sometimes do. So let's just go through here. I will point out that hopefully the binding on this seems pretty sturdy, but dang, this is a lot of stuff. And it is stitched. It is stitched together, which generally makes it for a better, at this size, just pasting it would be a tough one. But look at this table of contents. And actually there's things here like Challenges of the Unknown. This issue had a cover by Kirby, so they just put the cover in. That's how thorough they're trying to be. So here's In the Days of the Mob. I remember when this came out, and it was DC was trying to do Marvel was doing their black and white magazines to try and get in on the Warren Publishing sales. And so DC did their own kind of stuff, which was this is pretty different. This Warden here is kind of like the Crypt Keeper for this In the Days of the Mob book. He pops up as a narrator talking to the audience, sometimes within the scene of what's going on. Like there's one where he's at the train station where the mob is getting on. Here's Mal Barker. And one good thing about these though is you see they're slightly bigger. They are slightly bigger than these other books, and it's nice to have the art that size. I guess this sepia tone looking ink is the way this was done, to show that these were days of the mobs take place in the 20s and 30s. I don't really like this, or at least I don't like the way it looks in this book. Maybe in the original magazines it looked a little better, but I don't think it looks that great. And they get away with a lot more blasting people with machine guns and dead bodies laying around than you would have if it had been a comic. What was I going? Oh, I was going to look for that. See, there's the narrator, the warden, walking through and overlooking the proceedings when he's obviously not really there. There's the Al Capone story of Al Capone. So they're all right. They're pretty interesting. They actually are not. They don't have quite as much guts to them as the pre-code crime comics. Oh, and here it is in black and white. That's why I think that the way they decided to go to this, I have the feeling this was an experiment for the first issue or what was that, 2 issues worth of comics, and that the rest of them were printed in black and white. Murder Incorporated. So, like I said, this is some pretty good stuff, though. I do like it. You know, he likes the gangster stuff. Remember in the he did the issue of the Fantastic Four where the Thing goes to the planet where they all act like mobsters. That was a fun issue, or 2 issues, I guess it was. So anyway, there's that. This is the last panel. So the warden looked like a regular guy throughout most of it. But then, of course, this last panel, this very last picture of him, doesn't he look that there? He looks like his face is rotted away or something. He does. I don't know why that picture looks that way. I was thinking, like, is he really dead? Is the warden dead? And he's, you know, I have no idea why he suddenly looks like that, but he looks like a ghoul or something there. You can see in the other, you know, usually he looks just like a regular guy. And then in that final panel, see, there he is looking. So I don't know what the deal is. But that's kind of gruesome. And this 2-page spread is a Kirby gets to go comedy. Pretty fun. It's too bad we didn't get to see him do more stuff like this. Then here's Spirit World, which is supernatural. I think they were the idea was it was going to be. I think they were going to originally, maybe the idea was it was going to be more realistic, but then it becomes this trippy kind of thing. You can see Kirby doing some of his collage work that he liked to do. Again, this first issue, at least within this, has this blue printing. And so this woman supposedly had a psychic thing where she knew the president was going to be assassinated, Kennedy was going to be assassinated, but no one would listen to her because she was claimed to be psychic. So these are kind of creepy stories. They're kind of cool. Different people going around trying to discover the validity behind this supernatural stuff. There's more photography done. a lot of artists seem to like the idea that they could have taken photographs and collages and stuff and got away without having to do all the work they usually do. I'm not saying collage is that easy, but I'm sure for people like Kirby and Crumb, Crumb used to like to do it. Though I think Crumb used to like to do those photo comics because he got to be with models. So anyway, that's the spiritual world one. Like this great. I just highlighted this image from one of those comics. Yeah, pretty wild stuff there. Pretty cool looking. All right. Here's another one from the spiritual thing where I don't even know what the deal is on this. I mean, he may have lived before recorded history. Did this ancient warrior with access to prehistoric tech, it's kind of like one of those chariots of the gods kind of thing, I guess. Boom. Happenings from hell, the burner. Then we come to this. Like I said, I've got the demon stuff collected already. Demon is one of my very absolute favorite Kirby comics. So I don't mind that it's in here. I don't mind having it more than once. As far as I'm concerned, everyone talks about the world building of the New Gods and how great that is. And yes, that is good. Although at the time, a lot of the distribution of these, I basically got these comics either from the drugstore or there was a tobacco shop that had a lot of stuff in it. It was so hard to find a lot of these Kirby comics when they were coming out. It was really, really frustrating because just from the fact, even the ones with good distribution would sometimes you'd miss them a month or, so the fact that these DC things got such spotty distribution was really terrible for me. But anyway, like I said, that made it hard to follow the New Gods. And there's other things that make the New Gods not entirely successful for me. I do love parts of it. Parts of it are some of the greatest stuff he ever did. But some of the comics involved in it I thought were, spotty. But people tend to overlook the Demon and just how great a comic it is. It might not have those grandiose ideas behind it, but boy, is it just a damn good comic. These were some of my favorites when he got into these big splash pages, and so many full page splashes, these double panels and stuff. This was fantastic at the time. Now, mind you, these comics were only 18 pages long, so they flew by. When you're doing stuff like this, they were flying by. But quite frankly, I loved the big goosiness of these some of these panels. Not these early demons. These demons are like, this is pretty regular, but 4 panels as opposed to usually was doing 6 and 9 panel grids. That I had been used to for a long time. And I think this character, it has some of the supporting characters in this are okay, but this guy's terrible. And this is unfortunately, I think is the Kirby stand-in. I think Jack was probably not an outgoing guy, and I think this is maybe how Jack thought of himself as, if I could be the life of the party, if I would do this. I'm not really sure what the ideas behind it is, but this guy is just so aggravating. The humor that he has is so, Kirby was an old guy by the time he was doing this, and he wasn't the hippest. Fantastic covers here. Just the atmosphere in these is just so good. Sorry I went off on that little rant about that. Oh, and this monster, this caveman face. Oh, God, so good. There's where the monster first pops up. And the crappy friend gets possessed, does something cool for once. And then, I could go on and on about the demon and the different stuff and the different monsters. Just lots of great stuff. But I'm not going to. I'm going to try and make this a little quicker. Lots of monsters. I like that one too. This two-parter, that's the main part of it is rip off of the Phantom of the Opera. Now, of course, there's cool possession things going on, other things, but he sticks too close to the Phantom of the Opera that he's ripping off, and so a lot of this feels kind of trite, not very interesting. Like I said, it's a 2-issue story, and there's some good stuff in it, and or no, it's 3 issues. That's right. And this picture is out there as a meme. My face, it took my face. Look. Yeah, a demon has taken his face. That's pretty cool. Oh, and this is this splash page. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what movie it is. It's like Abby, maybe the Black Exorcist movie, or maybe one of the Count York films. There's a famous still of a evil woman, a monster woman, and it looks very similar to that. I can't remember what it was though. But yeah, so like I said, it's 3 issues. Throughout the course of it, there's some good Kirby stuff, but the Phantom of the Opera part was way overdone. Oh, and I hated this Frankenstein with the giant bolts. Those giant bolts just look so ludicrous. I really didn't like them. This is one of my favorite of his double-page splashes of all time. I love this one. I love all these little monsters and stuff because I love monsters, and who wouldn't? Now, this big pink furry looking, that looks like a kid's stuffed animal gone to seed. It's really weird and grotesque. I was going to highlight the bolts here with this picture. I love this little monster. It's kind of like the way it's crawling on him and stuff. And of course, it turns out just to be a nightmare caused by Clarion, the Witch Boy. I love Clarion, the Witch Boy. I think he's a great character. I think Kirby has him do some really cool stuff. I think he handles him well. He's evil as hell. I think it's really good. He conjures up an evil doppelganger. My only thing is that, they had this big long fight and stuff going on, and the evil doppelganger, of course, is ruining Jason Blood's life. But then here at the end, the demon suddenly calls up this portal and has him sucked away. And it just feels like, well, I don't see any reason he couldn't have done that sooner. But oh well. Oh, and I love this. I love this contraption they got the demon in. And look at her. That looks great. That's this is someone's kink. Come on. Yeah. Oh, this. Of course, they take this picture out of context too, and with a little Photoshop, you can easily make that a little naughtier. And then we come to the Sandman, and this is one I did not see at the time, and it's a kind of a weird thing. I didn't read it until I read it in here. These these evil toys that are being made, and him having to go into people's dreams. I'm sure it's nothing like Gaiman's, but there are some really weird. Look at this weird stuff. Look at that. The Sandman, though, he's a boring character. I mean, yeah, he does some heroic stuff, but I mean, and quite frankly, in Tales of Asgard, Kirby would have made the same kind of weird dreamscape seem a lot cooler. This kind of, for Kirby, this seems kind of so-so as far as that goes. This seems a little uninspired to me, these things. Like I said, there's weird cast of supporting nightmares and stuff. Oh, this I got off the rack. When I saw this at the drugstore, this cover blew my mind. I was like, what is going on? And then, of course, as soon as you get in there, you see, oh, it's a Build-A-Friend. It's a robot. But when I first saw that cover on the rack, I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Yeah, I mean, I thought this was good. This first issue is just one big fight scene, really. There's this flashback to him being turned into a super soldier, little nerdy guy, shades of Steve Rogers, and becoming OMAC. The all-seeing eye up in space, and then remotely with a computerized molecules create a simulated wound, and then it's his remote controlled manipulation of life functions reduce them so even you couldn't detect them. His wound is mending. He's breathing. Well, is it a simulated wound or is it a real wound that has to be healed? And he goes, yes, you've witnessed almost perfect death simulation. It's great to be alive again. I don't know. I really don't like when Kirby dresses people as clowns for villains. I don't mind this guy in the skeleton outfit, but I don't like when he does that. This is funny. I just pointed this out here. This is from the second issue. So OMAC has a mohawk. And Kirby wants to draw this capsule a certain size. Look at how short his mohawk is there. And in this scene, there, it looks like it's short on top, but still long in the back, like it's a mullet mohawk. But then as soon as he ejects, it's the regular full-size giant mohawk. Come on, Kirby. And then all kinds of wild stuff going on. Pretty good, actually, though. And look at, I love this. I love this, the flying mines that get him. This is just non-stop. This should have been a He-Man toy. The problem is he doesn't really, there's very little foes. He's mostly fighting against other soldiers who are in tanks and just busting up their tanks and stuff. Now, here, though, in this one, this is another one. I can't tell. Look at that. That's great. Bam. I mean, this does look like a giant toy in a way. It doesn't really look like a real piece of machinery any more than a lot of Jack's stuff. But it works. I mean, I like this stuff. I really like it. What did I highlight? Oh, here's the monster that you briefly saw on the other page. That's cool. That's a really good monster. There again, he's in one of these capsules that seems too small for him to be carrying him around. I like that grizzled little face. So from OMAC, I was going to point out, at various times they had other people do the covers. Like they weren't going to advertise that it was Kirby almost. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Joe Kubert. And I think this is great. These monsters look great. And his OMAC looks great. This all looks great. But, it's Kirby's book. It's Kirby doing this. let Kirby do the cover. You get paid more for the cover. Maybe they need to throw the work to him. It feels like DC had lost faith in Jack. And maybe it was sales. But I can tell you, part of the problem with the sales had to be DC and Marvel both had a lot of titles coming out at this time. And they just weren't all getting to the newsstands. And some of these didn't get a fair chance because I was not seeing a lot of this Kirby stuff on the stands, either in the drugstore or at the tobacco shop that I was going to. There's another Kubert cover. So this is the losers. I'm not really crazy about war comics. You know, it's not. You know, I like my comics with a bit of fantasy or a little bit. You know, war is not something I'm really want to see fun adventures about or even sad adventures about, really. But I will say this. I like these big panels. I like comics with big panels. If they're action comics, I like big panels. And he has a lot of, you know, people talk about, you know, oh, well, it's because had to draw so much. He wants to do big panels because, you know, he can do them faster. I don't know. It works for me. I like this. I like these big panels, and I like the way this looks. Like I said, I'm not crazy about war comics, but I think this looks good. I did like this, giving this sense of scale to this giant artillery here. Pretty good. Jack must have watched Guns of Navarone on the TV the night before and decided to do this. You know, there's very little actually drawn here for these buildings and stuff. But again, Jack knows how to make a little seem like a lot. Oh, there's a dead cow with its legs up in the air. Great scenes of destruction. Oh, and I like these explosions and stuff. The blowing up there goes these big pieces of artillery. Again, you know, these are 18-page comics. So they're flying by. And then I'm not going to go through all these. Nice bridge destruction. Lots of losers. I didn't realize he had done so many of these. Oh, and this is, he got to work in some monster stuff because somebody had a bad dream. Dreams, good way. Now, I had this issue of Atlas. I think maybe this was the only issue that Kirby did. I don't remember if someone else did other issues or whether it was only this one and done. I like this. This really made me... I was really expecting great things out of this. I thought this was going to be like, he was going to be doing something that would remind me of Tales of Asgard, because those actually are some of my absolute very favorite Kirbys. I mean, again, these were some of my earliest memories of Kirby. I mean, Tales of Asgard was one of the few things I was reading. I didn't really read the Avengers by Kirby or anything. I loved the Fantastic Four. That was number one on my list. But then Thor was number two for the Marvel stuff. And this I thought, oh, this is going to be taking us back to those glory days. Oh my God, that guy's an absolute brute. and look, this gave me hope. It looks like a prehistoric mammal. I was going like, are we going to get to see, all kinds of monster action from this like we used to see in Thor? And look, it looks like they're going to run into a dinosaur. But that's the only issue as far as I know. Manhunter, another one and done. I don't get much of a feel for the Manhunter from this one issue, and this villain is not really memorable. So not terrible. But speaking of terrible, it's another one of Kirby's Kid Gang stuff. I think I'm afraid that when I finally start reading some of Ed Piskor's new kids comic, it's going to turn out to be something like this. I'm just kidding. Kirby's kids are stuck coming out of like a movie from his childhood, like Angels with Dirty Faces. And the kids in that, those kids went on to become the East End kids and on until they finally became the Bowery Boys, where 40-year-old guys are playing kids, or teenagers rather. I really, really don't like when Kirby tries to do contemporary kids. He hasn't the foggiest idea. And this is, he's trying to make a positive spin on this Asian kid character, but man. Oh, I just realized you might not be seeing it. This curve might be too much for you guys. You might not be seeing it very well. I'll hold it up so to make sure you guys see it. Anyway, the gasser. Ugh. So anyway, that's a one and done too, though. Then here's DC trying to get in on the kung fu craze, like Marvel was having success with those things. Based on a novel by Denny O'Neil, writer, and Kirby did the inks. I don't remember the paperback book of this. Quite frankly, this is not the greatest Kirby fight stuff. This whole thing seems very. It just seems very uninspired. They're doing the takeoff on the different weapons masters, and he's going to have to go up against them, and he has to defeat them, and it's just not. There's just not much to it, and I'm a little disappointed. But again, this one I had never seen until I got this book. I read it. I've forgotten it already. The Cobra, the main guy, is the bad guy. So, do like that picture of that. But it's and he's done the green haze, green color, green and yellow, for the flashback. The two brothers are talking. Yeah, I didn't think much of that one. Then here we go. This is a Superpowers miniseries 1 of 5. Now the thing about this, if this stuff looks a little bit off, when I saw this, I was going like, geez, Pete's, who did they get to ink Kirby? Well, it's not even Kirby doing it. Kirby wrote these. So, and then, you can see that the artist, Gonzalez, was told to do it looking like Kirby. And there are some Kirbyisms in it, but it is not great. And did Kirby really write all this? Like, yeah, actually, I take that back. Kirby did have times where he would write stuff and pile on way too much. But all these thought balloons here, it goes on for many pages. It's a 5 issues. I just highlighted this because I really like this cover he did. I wish, and this, yeah, I like the way he drew the heroes there. It just makes it even worse that he didn't do the inside art. Then we come to another mini. This is the final issue of that one, and in the final issue, it is Jack Kirby and Greg Theakston, I think you say it Theakston, does the inks, and Theakston's going to be doing a lot of the inks in these final stories here. So finally we get Kirby drawing some for this final one here. This is some of the characters though, and I guess it's the work of this inker. They are kind of a little off. They don't look like Kirby characters. Like that doesn't look like a Kirby Robin. And look at Wonder Woman's teeny tiny hands. What's going on there? That's a good shot of Darkseid. And Darkseid beating up his lackey. Good Kirby tech. And then here's DC Comics presents Superman and the Challengers of the Unknown. So this is DC Comics Presents, which was, changed who was in it. It was I don't know if it was always a team up magazine, a team up thing, but the ones I'm familiar with are team up ones. And in this one, it's Superman and the Challengers of the Unknown. So, Challengers of the Unknown, for some reason, has a pretty good reputation. I really don't like them. I hate all of them in the same exact outfit. I really, really do not like this. And this, is this supposed to be, some of this looks like Kirby, but boy, I guess it's, so here it is. Yeah, this is the really weird one because Kirby does the pencils for a couple pages. Then Alex Toth, who of course I like, does 2 pages. And then, but it's all inked by Greg Theakston. These pages look terrible. They're just ugly and not. I really don't like these pages at all. I don't know what happened here. I really just, I don't know. I just don't like it. Then we come to this miniseries, 6-part miniseries, In the Clutches of Darkseid. And this is post Hunger Dogs, the graphic novel that was supposed to wrap up the New Gods scenario. And I do like the art in this. I do, Kirby is penciler again. Greg Theakston is doing this. This is really some heavy line work here, heavy black, and that's kind of weird. That's too cartoony for Darkseid. But generally, I like this artwork better than those other things. Yeah, I'm happy with this stuff here. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I don't even know why I was going to highlight this. It's just more of the same. But there's some Kirby dinosaurs. Yeah, I love Kirby and I love his dinosaurs. But when he has too many of them around, he doesn't draw them with enough variety, quite frankly. That's pretty wild. That's a pretty wild look at at these dinosaurs. This T-Rex. I like when he makes it so the teeth are just like, this is like when you're a kid and you draw all those jagged little lines. I don't know. I don't know that that's Kirby. Or that's the inker. So anyway, there you go. That is that for this massive thing. I said this was going to be a short one. It definitely wasn't a short one. I am really happy I got this book. I certainly wouldn't have paid $150 for it. But for $50, this was a great investment. Like I said, much more than half of this I had not read before. And I don't know where my copy of Atlas got to. It was great to see that again. OMAC, I have a collection of that. As a matter of fact, I think I still have I have almost none of my original comics from, at some point I sold a massive amount of my comics, and but I did keep I do have, I think I have like the first 10 issues of The Demon that I had, and I have a couple issues of OMAC. But it's great to have them in these collections. And anyway, I'm really happy. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like, subscribe, and share. Did I get that out of space?